Pardon the interruption, but I'm Pablo Torre. And Tony, scientists have found that something like feathers grew from a 247-million-year-old reptile.
Tony Kornheiser. Hey, same here. On my inner left thigh, something like feathers. Yeah.
You should probably
How do you
get that
think
checked
they
out
measure that?
at some point.
How do they measure that it's a 247-million-year-old reptile? I mean, really.
I believe
we're
it's
not.
carbon
I don't want to
dating.
sound like Wilbon, but we can't be that exact. We just can't be that.
Well, come
It's not
on. You're
possible. Welcome to PTI.
anti-dinosaur analytics? Come on.
I'm not. Well, Wilbon would be, but I'm not. I'm just questioning it. Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. Wilbon has a day off. I'm joined by our great friend, the host of the podcast, Pablo Torre Finds Out, Mr. Pablo Torre. And we begin this all-football segment with word from new Chicago Bears coach Ben Johnson that his goal for second-year quarterback Caleb Williams is to complete 70% of his passes this season. Williams agreed with that and then volunteered he wanted to go for 4,000 yards. Last season, Williams passed for 3,541 yards. He completed 62.5% of his passes. The NFL produced 4,070 from four quarterbacks last season: Geno Smith, Joe Burrow, Baker Mayfield, Jared Goff. Pablo, are the Bears and Caleb Williams setting reasonable goals?
Yeah, I think it's reasonable because 4,000 yards, again, back in my day, that was a big deal. It's less so now. A very passing-heavy league that feels like it's something that's achievable. Also, 70% completion is also something that feels doable for a parallel point. But the thing about this, and why I'm so glad to be here with you as always, sitting in Mike Wilbon's chair, is that I get to be the one to say the Bears have had as many 4,000-yard passing seasons as you and I have. That's
right.
The comedy of this.
That's
the
right.
bar for them ain't that high. Drew Brees has done it alone by himself 5 times. Bears 0 entering 2025. So reasonable, quietly achievable, but also very funny because of the tragic comedy of Bears quarterbacks.
I agree with all of that. I mean, it's obviously achievable because 4 guys did it last year, but only 10 lifetime have ever done this. And I would point out this, that none of the people who did it last year were in their second years as quarterbacks, and none of the people who did it last year were on a losing team, and the Bears were 5-12. Let me check my notes. Yeah, so it's a steeper hill. It's a steeper hill for Williams, but I agree with you. It's an odd context given that the Bears have never had a 4,000-yard passing season, given that the Bears are not a passing first team, given that the Bears' great offensive players are usually running backs. So it's a culture shock to how we associate the Bears. And I want to concentrate on Ben Johnson for a second.
Yes.
And I understand setting a goal of 70%. He's just spent a few years in Detroit with Jared Goff. Jared Goff is one of the 4 people who did this last year. I believe, and I could be mistaken, that Jared Goff has gone over 4,000 yards, I think maybe 3 years in a row. So I'm wondering, Pablo, does Ben Johnson have stars in his eyes? Do Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams, are they setting a realistic goal for them? That's the part I don't know.
Yeah, I'm checking my stats here about Ben Johnson, and look, you're right. The whole thing with Ben Johnson and Jared Goff, the reason why Jared Goff was sort of reinvigorated, almost revived relative to his reputation is because he and Matt LaPorta figured something out. They have a tight end in Detroit under Ben Johnson where he was a key aspect of the passing game. And good news for Mike Wilbon is that Caleb Williams has Cole Kmet. So they have the ability to do something quite parallel this season. That's why Ben Johnson should be actually quite optimistic about all of it.
And Caleb Williams can do it. We saw that at USC. But again, you got to point something out. As a rookie last year, he was overshadowed by another rookie, Jaden Daniels. And Jaden Daniels' numbers were about 3,600 yards and 69% completion. So he didn't hit those numbers either. I just don't want this to seem like a walk in the park, because it is not. It is not.
Well, it's not, because it's also, once again, the Chicago Bears. But I want to move to money issues. At Maryland college football now, head football coach Mike Locksley told reporters yesterday, Tony, that he lost the locker room during last year's 4-8 season because picking and choosing which players to spend money on led to a culture of haves and have-nots. Now, he said that he will not let those divisions happen again this season, adding, quote, "If I have to put my desk in that locker room, I will." end quote. So, Tony, what did you make of that explanation?
Okay, so Mike Locksley is trying to explain away a 4-8 season, 1-8 in the Big Ten. He had 3 winning seasons in a row, I believe, and went to 3 bowl games in a row. Now, but let's not get carried away with what that means, because he never, ever contended for the Big Ten title. And it takes a lot of gas at Maryland, by the way, because his combined record against Ohio State and Michigan and Penn State is 1-14, all right? So let's look at that context. But what he says merits a discussion here. He is saying, because of money, I lost this team. And this ought to be a lesson for every college football coach out there, that if you don't, now that money is available, if you don't smoothly and skillfully handle the payments of that, your team could dissolve. I would think that Nick Saban, if you asked him, what are some of the reasons you left? One of the reasons would be just this particular thing. And Alabama has tons of money, and nothing matters more in the state of Alabama than college football. That's not true in Maryland. Maryland's a basketball school. In fact, their basketball coach, their most recent basketball coach, Kevin Willard, quit at the end of the year because he said, we don't have enough money to compete in the Big Ten.
Right. Tony, I think about this the way I think about the internet, and I think about you when I think about the internet, because you have a position that I find to be validated every day. You hate the internet.
It's the worst
quote
thing
Tony
ever happened. It's terrible.
Quote you 4 seconds ago. You're also not on the internet. So that's one solution if you want to hate the way that the world works. Just get out of the business of the internet or college football, because this is the way it's going to be from now on. And so for Mike Locksley, this is a bit of an existential dilemma for him, particularly because his self-appointed nickname is the Locker Room King. He calls himself this like he's the Sturgeon King and it's Barney Greengrass, right? He's the Locker Room King. And so if you're the Locker Room King, you should know that this is a part of the job description that is changing. There are a lot of coaches, Tony, who are great walking into living rooms, who are great managing locker rooms, and all of that stuff is getting subsumed by the business of dollars and cents. It's a lot more like the pros.
That's right.
The ways that used to be distinguished, they're just not as relevant if that's your main thing. And so Mike Locksley, I feel you. I just don't know what you do about it outside of leaving the business.
Yeah, he gave himself that nickname the way Paul George gave himself Playoff P. How's that working out? It doesn't mean you can't criticize Mike Locksley's coaching from last year, but you do have to concede that once you start paying players, they're all going to want money, and they're going to want equity probably by position, and they're not going to understand it if somebody else is making a lot more. And so it becomes a very tough thing. And I would just say about what Locksley said, it's an astonishing comment. I never thought I would hear that I never thought.
I agree.
We move on. We stay in college. We even stay in the Big Ten, where Commissioner Tony Petitti is cheerleading for more automatic bids to the college football playoff for Big Ten teams. Big Ten teams. And he's saying a 6-3 record in the Big Ten is, quote, a great record. Petitti says this because the Big Ten plays 9 conference games and the SEC plays 8. So this is a way to persuade people that the Big Ten walks a harder road. Pablo, are you with Petitti that 6-3 is a great record in the Big Ten?
I think he should make this case. And I think he should make this case because he recognizes that the business of college football at the very top is the SEC and the Big Ten, and there's a big drop-off after that. And so the real question, as the Big Ten and the SEC wonder, are we going to just go off and make a super league at some point, is, okay, in the meantime, how do we compete with each other? And yes, he is saying, when it comes to the expanded playoff field, consider a 6-3 on a curve. Consider it in context that we are, in fact, a great league in which we play more games. So, hey, 6 wins over here, that means something quite different, as does the 3 losses. So I get it. It's smart. It's marketing. It's the only argument he has, really, when it comes to plausibly comparing against the SEC in that way.
So let me just be definitive here. 6-3 is not a great record in the Big Ten. So it's not a great record. Here's where it's a great record. If a Big Ten team went to the NFC North and went 6-3, that would be a great record. 6-3 in the Big Ten is good. It's not great. Who are the 3 you lost to? Who are the 6 you beat? If you pull a Maryland and you lose to Ohio State and you lose to Michigan and you lose to Penn State, then get out of here. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear about your wins against Northwestern and Purdue. I don't want to hear that. That's nonsense. I rather enjoy that the Big Ten and the SEC are trying to push each other off a cliff. I like that. I mean,
Yeah.
should the SEC go out and play 9 conference games just like the Big Ten? Well, maybe they should. But if I ran the SEC, I would say, why don't you worry about your league and we'll worry about our league? The SEC for a lot of years has made a lot of money and gotten a lot of guaranteed wins by playing the Citadel. But, this is an important but, they've also won a lot of national championships, and the Citadel was not in those. Not in those. In the last 20 years or so, we've seen Alabama and Auburn and Georgia and LSU and Florida, that they've won national championships in a comparable period of time. How many Big Ten teams? Probably 2. Probably Ohio State and Michigan. So as Petiti is screaming, let us in when we do well in conference, the SEC is saying, no, look at our overall ranking. So I enjoy the battle that's going on. Where I agree with you completely is they are the 2 best by miles. By miles.
Oh, yeah. These are the sorts of conferences where, again, we talked about this yesterday. It's a type of conference where you're like, please, can we pay you to be in them? That's the type of conference that these things are. And they're saying to each other now, look, if we got to elbow each other for those final slots at the end of the playoff field when they show that sad boardroom and everyone has to make a call in which everyone's mad, they're going to say, remember that time I told you 6-3 was great? That's why he's doing it. It's political as much as it is actual merit.
Sure. He's cheerleading. That's what he's doing. Let's take a break.
Yes.
Coming up, Rafael Devers plays first base for the Giants, something he refused to do for the Red Sox. What's the word for that?
And how best to describe Venus Williams becoming the 2nd oldest woman in history to win a top tour tennis match.
Look, they should have most of the bids. Those 2 conferences should have most of the bids. There's no question about that. And you don't see Memphis putting up money to get into the Big Ten. They're not listening to that. No, they're not going to do that.
Yeah.
Walmart.
Time to get it on with Lexicon. And what's the word? What's first, please?
It's blank that Rafael Devers apparently enjoyed playing first base more than DHing last night.
My word is heartwarming. Can you feel the sarcasm? Because maybe now Devers will be a better teammate in San Francisco than he was in Boston, right? Maybe he'll do what is asked of him. He did not do that in Boston. He told them in Boston when they took him off third base, he said, I'm not playing anywhere else. I'm just going to DH. I'm not doing anything you want me to do. So they traded him as far away physically as they could and to another league. And there are some numbers here that are consequential. Since arriving in San Francisco, Devers is batting .227, even with 2 hits last night. He has 2 homers and 11 RBI in 30 games. That's not great. The Giants are 12-18 with him in the lineup, and that's not great.
Yep.
Boston without him in the lineup is 17-13, and that's not great, but it's a lot better than 12-18. And so maybe Rafael Devers has realized that he has to try to rebuild his shattered reputation.
That got romantic at the end, rebuilding the shattered reputation. My word, by contrast, is ex-boyfriend-ish. This relationship, the new relationship Devers is in, is not going well, as you surmise. And it's sort of like when the only revenge you have is to do the thing, finally, that your ex kept on asking you to do, that you refused to the whole time, only to reveal that I'm kind of into this now. I hate dancing. Now you're on the dance floor. I hate doing the dishes. Now you're Mr. Clean. This is Rafael Devers just trying to twist the resemblance of what is left of a knife in the Red Sox because they're thinking, this is all we wanted from you. And finally you do it when we're apart. It's romance gone wrong. It is ex-boyfriendish.
That's why you went to Harvard. That was a screenplay. You just wrote a screenplay on the PTI show. I really like that. I'm going to shut up on the next one. What's next?
It's blank that Venus Williams won a professional tennis match at the age of 45.
So my word is terrific. And most of why I say it's terrific is because my son and his wife and their boys went last night. And they saw Venus Williams. And they were enthralled by Venus Williams. This tournament, this DC tournament, is sort of a stepping stone tournament for the U.S. Open. It's on hard court. It lasts for about 2 weeks, and it draws some pretty big names. Francis Tiafoe is in it. Ben Shelton is in it. I think Taylor Fritz is in it. Emma Navarro is in it. Jessica Pegula is in it. I think Naomi Osaka is in it. Venus is in it because she played for team tennis for the Washington Castles, and the owner of the Washington Castles, Mark Ein, runs this tournament. So they have a lot of history. Look, 45 is 45. She's not going to win the tournament. I didn't even think she'd win any matches at all. I don't think she's going to win the next one against the 5 seed. But she won last night, and that was great because she's an all-timer. She has 7 majors. This is a wonderful moment.
Yeah, I'm going to go hyphen-ish again, though. I'm going to go no-hitter-like. Because listening to you talk about how Michael took the family to go see this, of course, in person, you see a no-hitter, and it's fantastic. And you say to everybody, everybody you know, you won't believe what I saw. But then you get the push alert, Tony, on your phone, a little alert, and says a no-hitter, and you're like, there are a lot of these. And you don't really think about it. No-hitter-like because what is so spectacular at this point in modernity happens often enough, 40-something-year-old athletes doing good things, that it feels kind of almost expected, which is kind of sad, I must admit.
Not of a 45-year-old. No.
Oh, but we're in the era of
expected.
LeBron and Tom Brady. This
Different
is the
sport.
thing that mid-40s...
Different sports.
I'm just saying,
I mean,
I wish I reacted
was older
in a different way,
match.
but I didn't. Yeah. No, it's objectively incredible, but...
I think it's a very small, special moment. I think. That's final word. Let's take one last break, but still to come, Jacob Young of the Nats. We're doing the Nats on this show? Makes it improbable catch. The Nats made this show? Really?
And Lionel Messi, meanwhile, in the real world, decides whether he'll be playing in tonight's MLS All-Star game.
Have you ever been to a no-hitter? Have you been a no-hitter, a perfect game, anything like that? Have you been to a 4-home-run game?
Neither. I've just been
We're at the earthquake in San Francisco. Happy time, people. Happy 64th birthday, Woody Harrelson. Here's the connection for the actor to a sports show. 1, the possibility that Cheers was a sports bar, considering Sam Malone was a former Red Sox pitcher. 2, Harrelson was tremendous in White Men Can't Jump, as was Wesley Snipes. 3, he was a bowler in that very weird movie Kingpin. Harrelson has been nominated for 3 Academy Awards, most recently in 3 billboards outside Ebbing, Missouri. I love Harrelson now in those commercials he does with Matthew McConaughey, particularly the one where McConaughey gets splashed by a passing car. Now, I have no idea what product they're selling, but I really like the commercials.
I have no idea the product either. I just remember that we talked about magic mushrooms at the top of yesterday's PTI show. And there is a podcast in which Ted Danson and Woody Harrelson apparently reminisce around how Woody got dosed pretty heavily and loved it, while Ted Danson was absolutely horrified and had a panic attack. So, also happening in that universe.
Yeah, podcast in the news. Happy anniversary, Nomar Garcia-Parra. We could have done Nomar's 52nd birthday today, but instead we're doing this anniversary. On this day 23 years ago, Nomar hit 3 consecutive home runs in a span of 2 innings, accounting for 8 RBI and a 22-4 drubbing of the Devil Rays on his 29th birthday. Nomar's career batting average was .313. He won 2 American League batting titles, Rookie of the Year, and was a 6-time All-Star. Over a 20-year period beginning in the early 80s, the American League had the following people at shortstop: Cal Ripken Jr., Nomar Garcia-Parra, and Derek Jeter. That's as good a group of shortstops as any league has ever had.
And Nomar, who I always remember for both hitting .372 at one point, also his, of course, routine at the plate, Tony, and also the way that his name got pronounced by everybody in Boston, including my future father-in-law, it turned out. It was the aesthetics, is my point, as well as the substance. Nomar. Happy trails to a quarterback competition for the New York Giants. Head coach Brian Daboll named Russell Wilson the starting quarterback of the team today. That means that first-round draft pick Jackson Dart, free agent arrival Jameis Winston, and third-year backup Tommy DeVito will compete for supporting roles. The 36-year-old Wilson is a 10-time Pro Bowler, but he joined the Giants on a 1-year deal, which makes you wonder how deeply committed the Giants are if Wilson gets off to a slow start. Yeah, look, they have options, but the whole thing with the middle-class level bridge quarterback is that you could make it work. Tony, we saw this with Sam Darnold and the Vikings. You don't need him to be Mr. Forever. You just need him to be Mr. Right Now, and Russell Wilson could be that for them.
Yeah, they're playing the season this year. You don't have to worry about next year. We got one other note here, a note on 40-year-olds. 42-year-old Justin Verlander got his first win of the season. He is now 1-8. Here we go to the big finish if we could. Go ahead.
No, Ohtani just hit another home run, by
announced.
the way. Yeah.
Well, okay, there we go. But he's not 42, is he? UNC football
No.
announced it's completely sold out for Bill Belichick's first season. You impressed, aren't you?
It's a 51,000-seat stadium, and of course I'm obsessed with Bill Belichick. Everybody knows that. Leo Messi and Jordi Alba will not play in tonight's MLS All-Star game, Tony. Your thoughts?
My thoughts are the All-Star game doesn't mean squat. And Lionel Messi will play in whatever Inter-Miami game he wants to, and nobody's going to tell him he can't because he is the league at the moment. TJ Watt told Graham Bensinger that it really bothers him that his Steelers teams have not won a playoff game. That makes sense, doesn't it?
I think it does. I mean, he's an amazing individual player, but you're going to end up getting a bit of the Lamar Jackson stuff, right, if you don't actually win in the postseason. Jacob Young of the Nats robbed Will Benson of the Reds of a home run this afternoon. Are you impressed?
He's a great fielder. He climbs the wall. He brings it back. He's not a power hitter. His bobblehead for the Nats is actually him reaching out to make a catch. And they lost, of course. Last one, a 12-year-old Little Leaguer suspended from the New Jersey State Final for bat flipping. Your thoughts?
I am told that the family is filing for a temporary restraining order, but I believe that's good parenting. A good bat flip is good parenting.
That's funny. We're out of time. We'll try and do better the next time. I'm Tony Kornheiser.
And I'm Pablo Torre. Thank you for watching. Pablo Torre Finds Out is the podcast, but now, your SportsCenter.
PTI.
Yes, they wasted it last season. Joe Burrow was MVP caliber. We all know that. And then you look at how they lost all of these one-score games last season, Tony. You might recall that as well. And you look at the defense. The defense, which was 6th worst by the advanced metrics in the NFL, the defense, which was the reason they were an 8-loss team last season. And so what do? They bring back the offense, which is great. Joe Burrow is going to have another great offensive season, should he be healthy. But the defense remains the same, except now they're missing some guys because of holdout/hold-in stuff. So no assurance that this season is going to be better than last season, which was a waste.
So I thought that Joe Burrow's senior year at LSU was the greatest season a college quarterback ever had. He comes into the NFL, and in his second year, he's in the Super Bowl. Second year in the Super Bowl. He's going into his 6th season now, and he's been to the playoffs one more time. Just one more time. He goes out, he puts monster numbers up all the time. The Cincinnati Bengals lose. You can look this up. They lose by scores like 42-38 or 38-35. And Burrow has put up all this offense, and they can't win these games. It is because of their defense. They spent a lot of money to commit to wide receivers, which they should do. But go find some more money and commit to Hendrickson, commit to the rookie that they drafted. I mean, because if you don't, Joe Burrow is going to walk in there someday like an NBA player and say, get me out right now, or I'm going to take you to divorce court and sue you for non-support. Because that's his circumstance now.
Yeah, I mean, look, we marvel at a Super Bowl, and again, the Super Bowl, we always say this, it's won in the trenches. And so the hardest thing to do is to find the right quarterback, your forever quarterback, and they got it, but those trenches, that's always the story, and they've wasted that, and I've now wasted your time by repeating that, so that is it. We are done. Back to you.